Imagine a regulatory proposal that could potentially slice the vital financial lifeline for up to 400,000 disabled Americans, including those living with autism, Down syndrome, and dementia. That's what's currently on the table. The Social Security Administration is floating a new proposed rule for SSI. If it passes, and your entire household isn't on public assistance, they could literally pretend your bedroom has a market rent, call that phantom income, and slash your benefits. Analysts estimate nearly 277,000 people could see their monthly payments reduced, and more than 100,000 could lose eligibility entirely if the rule takes effect. But behind these massive spreadsheet numbers, what does this actually look like for a real family? Look, this proposed policy actively punishes people for doing the right thing. We always talk about family values and sticking together, right? Well, under this proposal, if you take in your vulnerable adult child or room with a struggling relative to scrape by, the system treats it as a liability. They look at your living situation and say, "Oh, you're not homeless? Great, you don't need full assistance." Even if your family is splitting grocery bills and living on food stamps, the government would invent a fake rent for your room and deduct it from your check. The logic here is wild. You can be poor, but God forbid you be poor together. Every time a proposal like this drops, you have to ask, is the government actually broke, or do they just hate spending money on the people who actually need it? They are trying to pinch pennies from the most vulnerable Americans, while billions are handed out in corporate tax breaks and questionable spending. And they call this fiscal responsibility? Come on. It's a reverse Robin Hood situation. And this plan targets the exact group of people who can't hire high-priced lobbyists to fight back. Now, I know what the critics will say, but what about the people gaming the system? Sure, every system has some bad actors. But you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. If you want to stop fraud, do the actual investigative work. Don't sit in a comfortable office, crunch numbers on a spreadsheet to balance a budget, and then use a blanket proposal that leaves 400,000 people who genuinely qualify completely stranded. But the really shady part? The strategy here is clever. They aren't explicitly saying, "We're cutting you off." Instead, the plan involves burying people in an absolute mountain of monthly financial and living arrangement paperwork. Just think about it. How is someone with severe autism or advanced dementia supposed to navigate a maze of bureaucratic red tape every single month? They can't, and that's the loophole. If this goes through and benefits stops, the agency can just shrug and say, well, they didn't fill out the form, it's exclusion by paperwork. Let's call this proposal what it really is. It's not budget optimization. It's a complete abandonment of our community's safety net, wrapped in a suit and tie. The underlying message is terrifyingly clear. If you aren't actively generating corporate wealth, you err on your own. If this proposal passes, don't ever talk to us about family values again. That would be a joke.